Uh, I am very honored to introduce George and Marie McBride because I've known them for a very long time. And actually, Carol Fabulous is here also. And and I know that, well, they used to live in Lake Placid, but now they're far away. And I see George, but I haven't seen Marie in so long. But they've done so great works in Thailand. So I'll turn it over to you so you can explain everything that's been going on and about the human trafficking and everything.
So it is, I'll let Marie kick us off, and then I'll say a few words about.
Okay, so you can read a little bit about us. We've been here 13 years, and our first visit to Laos, we were asked if we wanted to buy a boy for the night, and we didn't understand what they meant. But by the time we finished our tour of Laos, we understood that there were so many poor people, they will sacrifice one or two of their children to sleep with tourists for money. So for $5, if we wanted to, we could have a boy in our hotel, in our bed for the night. And this is pretty horrible stuff. And we experienced this in Cambodia, in Thailand, in addition to many people offering many types of sexual activities. Surely because they are so poor, this is one way to make money. And of course, during COVID, it got even worse. But child trafficking, children being kidnapped and stolen as babies, as toddlers, and sold to harvest their organs is one of the reasons we are so passionate about trying to stop this human trafficking. And it comes in many forms. We'll go to the next slide.
So I just want to say hello to all the Rotarians and to our special greetings to Lori and Carol. I used to work with Lori many years ago at Upstate Biotech, and hopefully Lori and some of you can come over to, and Carol, come over to Chiang Mai, Thailand to meet with us. So where we live up in the northern part of Thailand, much like the mountains, kind of equivalent of the Adirondacks. Think of Lake Placid is to New York City, Chiang Mai is to Bangkok. And so this particular region has is a hub, is really a pass-through area of a lot of different types of trafficking in persons and exploitation. The last weekend, we had the pleasure of joining a anti-human trafficking walk. It's a worldwide walk on the day to prevent, protect, and provide for those in human trafficking. And we happened to meet the U.S. Consul General, Lisa Buenos, who is here on the bottom right of the screen, next to Marie, and that is her son. Next to her as well. She's a new consul general, and there is a large presence of the American with the collaboration with the with Thailand to fight the different types of human trafficking. And this list is not exhaustive, but these are the four main areas. Whether it's forced labor, and that could mean that now they're looking at getting young people into call centers and scamming and forced captivity. They already had a joint rescue in Cambodia where they had a call center, a scamming center. So we see this in the paper. We see this in the region. Forced marriages in the border, because in the north, China has about two males to every female. And so there's kind of a crisis in the sense that they will try to come and get parents to sell their girls into marriage. So there's forced marriage, domestic labor. This is an example where you would hire someone, they're indentured, you keep their passport and threaten them, and they couldn't leave. That's a lot of that happens a lot. And also, of course, the sexual exploitation. the three takeaways from this, we're not going to talk about the fourth P in the prevention, protection, and providing, because that's prosecution. But we individually and the Rotary Club can work to prevent and protect and provide for those that have that are trafficked in persons or exploited. Marie wrote a book, so I'll let Marie.
Okay, when I had my car accident, maybe some of you remember, in 2006 in December, well, I was immobilized for a while. In fact, Bob Hanna of the Rotary took me to work every day and picked me up. And he pretty much had to carry me sometimes into the office. So on the weekends, I simply wrote this romance novel because a neighbor said, oh, it'll keep your mind off of things, because a neurosurgeon told me if I moved too much, I would get paralyzed. So I needed to keep my mind off of it, and writing this romance novel kind of worked. And I just set it aside. And when we moved over here, I didn't know that he kept the flash drive that had the novel on it. And when we got involved with the charity GRACE, which is Global Relief Association for Crises and Emergencies, and it's global, but has some headquarters in Thailand, George said to me, why don't you publish your book and we'll give the money to this charity? So that's exactly what I did. So I put it on Amazon, I put it on Apple Books, and it's available for a Kindle app or Apple Book or paperback. And all those royalties that come in to my bank account get transferred to Grace. And they promote it on their website as well. They have it on their Facebook page. And I made little flyers, and wherever there's a Rotary coffee shop that Rotary has a sign in, I put the book leaflets there. So it's getting some sales through that method.
So yeah, she already has over 50 books. Thank you, Carol Nevelis, for purchasing the book, and I know you're passing on to our dear friends in Lake Placid and the church. So the interesting thing is that the Grace charity that is a website. It's based out of Georgia. And they have two centers, one in Pattaya and Karat. I'll show you where that's located. And that's at the center of the sort of sex trafficking and exploitation. And they do a couple of things, some good works, and I'll show you the main core of the two home centers that they have. And recently we sent a big box of school supplies to all of these kids. And these are example, the kids you see here are just a few examples of the children that they prevent by picking them up at school, after school programs. And then when they have a break, they'll have camp programs, and they protect them and provide meals and homework. Schooling, homework after school, those types of things for the parents who are either working in the bars, maybe they're vendors on the street, poor, trying to make a living. So they have an interesting two home centers that they run, and they do vision trips with a large group from the US. So we're going to go visit these homes probably December or January and meet with the manager. And it's funny, she sent us a video of them opening up the box of school supplies for all the kids. So we being very transparent, want to see the operation and what they do. So we have really good indications. So to get you coordinated on really about human trafficking, the 9 provinces along Thailand's, the Burmese Myanmar border, and then you have the Lao border on the right on your screen. Think of it as the states. So it's 9 states, 9 provinces. And these are the trafficking routes into northern Thailand, just like the drug routes from the Golden Triangle. They are passed through, they call it pass through in Thailand. And this is from the Coordination Center of Anti-Human Trafficking Operations in northern Thailand. And we met the Honorary Consul General from, he's half Thai, half British. And he's dedicated his life since 2000 when he went to a fire in Bangkok, and they found the girls in this bar chained to the bed that were burned. And that seared his memory, can't undo that, but it really put him on a trajectory to be involved in these trafficking. And this center is the key with the social workers, the Homeland Security of the US, FBI, the Thai Royal Police. So they're very active. And taken from their information, they showed us trafficking routes in and out of Thailand. So they come in red, as you see, and then they're either processed, some stay in Thailand or are exploited, but as you see, they're processed out of the country to the Middle East, Malaysia, Japan, and recently to North America. You may have seen in the news.
They had over 100 Thai women rescued by the FBI.
Right.
So our Thai citizens and the Hill Tribe girls are being kidnapped and shipped to America. How they get there without a passport, we don't know.
Yeah, with Marie's book, her pen name is Antoinette DeMarco, which remains anonymous. But the point is, we follow the anti-human trafficking efforts of the Underground Railroad, the Sound of Freedom movie with Tim Ballard and the group. And interestingly enough, there's a video about them going to these villages along these borders, and the villages are empty of all the girls. And when they talk to the villagers, that's because they are either duped into a scam center, trafficked out, married off, and it's striking. So
let me just talk about the money. Okay, one child for organ harvesting can get the middleman $500,000, $100,000 to $500,000 for one child, because that's a healthy heart, healthy lungs. The size is not that relevant, because there are rich people with children that need organs, or teenagers that need organs. So all the organs that would be normally donated in an 8-year-old boy, 8-year-old girl, those are healthy organs. So that's why they traffic children for organ harvesting. They traffic white-skinned, the Hmong tribe and the Karen tribes have white skin. And the Chinese men who want a wife want that white skin, and they will pay the middleman $50,000 US to get that white woman. And they are usually kidnapped. If the parents don't release them or want to take money for it, they will kidnap. If I show you the way the homes are built over here, you can see in the villages, they're just bamboo walls, woven bamboo. It's like a cloth. And there are no windows, no doors. They just hang a curtain. So anyone can go in and kidnap a 13-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl. They're off to China, never to be seen again. A few years ago, there was a documentary in the US about Hmong. This is Hmong, Hmong women who were rescued in China, from China, and they're living in Hmong communities in the United States, like Minneapolis. So we always worry about our girls, and we had a scare a few months back about one of our girls being missing, and she was rescued and, traumatized and skinny, more skinny than she had been. But this is like a nightmare for us. Right now, they're back in their villages. We don't know how many are going to come back, because this is a constant issue where China, and they've done this for centuries. This is not something new with China. They've kidnapped these women for white skin for centuries.
So to echo on that, just so you understand, the Hmong the tribal people are nomadic. And so we're talking about the Hmong that are across northern Thailand, Laos, and into northern Vietnam. And when I went to do a Habitat for Humanity build in Hanoi, and we went out here just to the western part outside of Hanoi, the director was telling us about, I asked about the Hmong, and she said, yes, that is true, that they come across the border from Yunnan or, the close border in the other province of China, and they will, coerce and take them. And a lot of times they'll, because they're migratory, and so they exploit these tribal girls. So that's what Marie's talking about. I just pulled up this so you can see the region is really a lot of pressure from China on that type of kidnapping for those types of tribal young girls. As Marie just mentioned, these activities are all around us. We not only were approached. I've been approached on sales meetings throughout the region when I was based in Singapore. We've met young people who are with NGOs, non-government organizations, who are up here working with them. And so we took a vision trip up to, with PIAP University and a group, up to the Golden Triangle, which is notorious for the drug trade, but it's very notorious for the trafficking in human in persons trade. And so it's always there's a lot of activities around us. So for example, when we were up there about a month ago or two, and we stayed at a resort, a hotel, there's this big sign that is listed, child sex tourism is a crime. They have to actually publicize that this is a crime, and they have prevention with hotel staff and visitors that if you see something that doesn't look right, or you see difference in ages, difference in men with young children, young girls or young boys, and it could be women the other way too. That's not only men. So these two organizations are out of Europe. They're called EPAT, and I think the code.org. And so their focus is solely on preventing in the tourism industry and working with different hotels. The other thing that's around us, and here is what Rotary is doing. So this is a library at a hostel or a small hotel, a boutique hotel, and they have a library, and the library is in a coffee shop, but the idea, they have about 9 of them, and it's one of their activities. In northern Thailand, there are 2 English speaking Rotary clubs, and then there's many Thai speaking Rotary clubs, and then there's a mix. I think there's one English, one mix of Thai and English, and then pure Thai. And so these are the 3 organizations: the Rotary Club to End Human Trafficking, that one's out of Bangkok, the Rotary Action Group Against Slavery, and then the Thailand Rotary Action Group against Chergas, which we're going to be meeting to do some prevention work with Marie's tribal girls at the cathedral for a prevention. So that would be bringing in a Thai teacher to tell them what to look out for, how to not be scammed. If it's too good to be true, don't be, try to protect yourself.
Let me explain that.
So we're going to be working with them, hopefully in the future.
And getting to other villages.
Yeah.
One of the recent scams, you all know about K-pop groups. You must know about K-pop groups, the Korean pop music. And there's a Thai girl who about 3 or 4 years ago, her name is Lisa, and became a singer with the most popular group called Blackpink. In fact, so popular here that the Oreo cookie put out a version of pink filling because the black cookie and the pink filling. So they sold these Blackpink Oreo cookies. But she's a gazillionaire now from selling records. So the new scam in the villages is to go and talk to the village chief. This is like going on a reservation in America, going on an Indian reservation. These are hill tribe people, but they have village chiefs. And what happens is this man will come and say that he's a talent scout. He's not, it's all a scam. And that he will take 2 or 3 of the prettiest girls in the village, and he will make them the next K-pop star. He'll train them to sing and to dance, and they will make so much money, they'll be able to support that entire village. So this is one of the newer scams, and we're going to try to prevent this by getting to enough of these villages to talk to them about it, because they don't have the same internet that we do. They don't get the same news that we do, and they need to be aware of this. And we have a lot of connections with different hill tribe people because of the students we teach.
Yeah, so when we say students, for example, at the church, the sisters will go out and get, let's say, 40 clever tribal girls to sponsor, bring them to the cathedral, sponsor them, but they go back home. And so they go back home into the village on break to do the rice fields, to do agriculture.
Pick watermelons.
So the place to start is the 43 tribal girls with the Rotary Club to do this prevention and awareness, and then extend that out to different tribes. But she's right, they have TikTok videos, so they have all of the trappings of the social media, and then they're enticed and they go back to the rural community to do their work. So that's why we know that they're not just staying here, they have to go back to their villages that are that can be exploited by those that are coming in to find these girls. The other activities around us, we see, for example, at the Shangri-La Hotel, there's a trilateral law enforcement meeting we just run into. This was in August, and you see all the police there, and there's a big meeting about human trafficking in a township right across the border in Myanmar, as I showed you that border next to Myanmar. So this is a constant battle. Just about 2 weeks ago, I think, we had a weekend in which there was a community event. The Rotary Club had a great, the Thai Rotary and English Rotary Club had a great table of what they're doing and the marketing and the literature for the Thai people, and collaborating with who presented, for example, was the general of the cybercrime and online scamming. This is a really big thing. The general out of Bangkok, the general, the head of the Thai police, he's head of the scamming and cybercrime. So this is really a big issue now, and it was well attended. So, for example,
we had over 200 people.
Yeah, there was 200 people, and this is an example here where there's different NGOs, the Rise Foundation, the Freedom Story, Urban Light, about, boys cannot be bought with Thai bot. What happened to them, and also the Thai Rotary working together with all of these, collaborating with the non-government organizations on this. The other, I didn't skip. Okay. So, for example, last week or so, front page news, Bangkok Post, human trafficking talks, Thai police in cooperation with Hong Kong. Again, we're always seeing this. It is, and this is before the movie. Yeah, it's almost every day, but this is a big collaboration, and so much so that the U.S. with the Thai Royal Embassy out of Washington, but also the Thai Embassy, the U.S. Embassy here, we know, because up here, our embassy is one of the largest with not only drug enforcement, the DEA, but also anti-human trafficking. So what they did was the Homeland Security, the U.S. Homeland Security and FBI came in and trained and worked with the Thai police for transnational exploitation. And the foundation that Marie has worked with, Grace, they actually have worked with the Homeland Security and FBI and the police.
They've rescued over 240 women and children.
Looking at the children who are illiterate, finding out how they're exploited just in an after-school program. So they're always on the lookout, and they work with them to get the social workers, the prosecutors, forensics, the whole thing. It's a community effort. So it's something that is well known in Thailand about the cooperation, because we've been cooperating or been friends for over 100 years.
200-year friendship.
200-year friendship.
Grace and Thailand.
Yeah, Grace is located down in Bangkok. The two home centers are down in Bangkok. It's kind of a hub. And what's interesting with this particular non-government organization, charity, they do three things in child sponsorship. So what they'll do is they have donors. They have donors that go on vision trips there. And what they'll do is they have wellness support, nutritional support, and educational support. It's in the form of after-school programs where the wellness is hygiene for the kits, dental kits for the kids, different are distributed, different supplies. They have medical care for emergencies for these kids that they pay for at the local hospital. So their healthcare needs are met at a basic level. They then have the kids get meals after school, really good nutrition. And also on their school break, they have day camps for these kids that come on a day camp to prevent them from being exploited and protect them, much like, you'd send your kids.
It's so easy to kidnap them. If they don't have this center to go to, they're loose on the street. And all they do is, okay, if they're well fed, they're not going to be that hungry. So if they're loose on the street and a van pulls up, just like in America, they'll have a puppy. Oh, little girl, do you want to pet this puppy? And then that little girl is abducted, then you have an Amber Alert. But here, it's not a puppy or a kitten, it's food, a little dessert, will entice that child or children to go into that van, and they are never seen again. And every child can represent $500,000 with organ harvesting, or they're shipped to mines in China. And
That's forced
what
labor.
you'll never see in the news is they will take those children, not just to China, to North Korea. You will never see that in the news. We find out from people in NGOs that happens.
Yeah, when you find out from the law enforcement, social workers, and what is the underbelly, it's horrifying. On the nutritional support side, they also give families packets throughout the year to help them with their nutrition, and then education, which is after school in the day camps. They get homework and education and tutoring. The other thing is, all these kids, as you see here on the left, they are lucky in that they're sponsored and they're trained. They're picked up with for example, the after school, they're picked up with a van, brought to the school. They have their meals after the lunch, their homework, and then they help them in the prevention to watch out and be careful so that they don't fall prey. So we're almost just a few more minutes. I'll get you some questions because we're almost done. Two things that we're doing, three more slides.
We talked about prevention.
Yeah, but two things the McBrides are doing that are near and dear to Marie's heart is a prevention program, as we spoke about. Here are the girls, as you see on the left.
These are the ones we teach.
These are the ones that mentor on English on the weekend. I'm working as a business advisor with the Thai Tribal Crafts Fair Trade, started by two American women 50 years ago. And we are going to provide sewing machines for the next generation of weavers to help them in their economy and give them agency. Another way to prevent trafficking, because now they can create textiles, make products, and sell them worldwide through the Fair Trade Organization out of Chiang Mai.
So if the village is sustainable,
right,
they're not going to want to be enticed by these scam artists,
right,
or sell their children.
And also, just last night, as a matter of fact, I emailed today the managing director of Thai Tribal Craft Fair Trade. I meet him every Tuesday. We're now going to work with a grant writing opportunity, because what they want to do now, this organization out of, on the left, called the Freedom House, the Exodus Road out of the book of Exodus, they are out of Colorado. They work around the world, but in Thailand, they have a home, an aftercare home for women who between 18 and 25 who have been extracted out of the trafficking and exploitation and are now kind of like a BOCES, learning how to bake, how to be a barista, get whatever jobs. And now we're going to write a grant and we're going to hire an intern. Now we're going to be meeting with them to get an intern to work at an international business with the fair trade, with the tribal people, and teach them business. And then also we're going to work to write a grant to get funding so that they can have a feeder of training these young women in international business of the fair trade. So this is an interesting endeavor that just came about last night. Must have been quite a I don't know, a coincidence for sure. I was talking to the managing director, but in the end, we teach the tribal girls, and here they are on the right. You can tell them about the picture on the right, but we always pray for their safety.
We don't just teach girls here. We also go down south of Bangkok to a home for orphans, where they usually have between 85 and 95 orphaned girls as young as 5 years old. They'll find them orphaned, living on a bridge, under a bridge, on a dirty mattress. Maybe their parents both died of HIV. So the center that these nuns run is not Grace. This is a Sisters of the Sacred Heart. So we work with their students remotely, and when we go down there and bring supplies.
The picture you see here with Marie, those are typical. They're in their tribal dress. And those are, they have the dormitory. They go to school. The sisters make sure they go to high school.
They're safe. They're
safe. They go to high school. They have their needs met. They have their hygiene, their food, a whole thing. And they have, they span from middle school to high school. These are high school girls in their tribal dress. And then they go back home in the mountains, in the tribal areas north.
Only the ones that have parents.
Yeah, the ones that have parents. and many of them do, but many of them don't because they're
This side doesn't,
Yeah.
that side does.
yeah. So, but yeah, these are the sisters do great works, and we've been down there helping them.
I just want to mention one other thing. I always wondered why the Thai government is so difficult. They won't allow adoption of children. And then it was made known to us that in the past, so many of these adopted children were adopted by pedophiles. So it's very, very difficult to get vetted as a couple to adopt a Thai child. They would rather these children live in orphanages their entire lives and then get a job afterwards than be adopted and risk being used for organ harvesting or being given to a pedophile. So, any questions?
I have a question. The organ harvesting. It's not hard to find an unscrupulous doctor, let's say, or a surgeon, but organs there's a chain of custody usually that accompanies the organ. And how do they find facilities that will do this? This is pretty, high level stuff. Organ transplant.
Yes, this is all on the black market,
So
on the dark web.
So we know this because there are peer-reviewed publications in NIH on PubMed regarding.
We'll send Lori.
We could send Lori. We could send you the links to that. They do have procurement. It is a chain. It is a nasty business, but because of rich people that have children or in roughly the age group, they will exploit them and try to get organs. And it used to be thought this wasn't a real thing, but they now know it's a real thing. And
Johns Hopkins published a paper on it.
Yeah, they know it's a real.
They
know it's a real thing because while they're trying to do while they are interdiction on the human trafficking, they try to go up the chain and find other. They find out other ways that they're trafficking. And this is another thing that they're trafficking. That's why it's multifaceted. They're trafficked for different things, for different reasons. It's not just one thing, but it happens. And it's one of those things until you look for it, you would never know. And we didn't know until we talked with people and people who, get that information from those that have been trafficked. And then if you look on the publications that are happening, public health, and the most recent one looking at this type of industry, that's just one example. So yeah, it's a thing for sure.
Well, I remember flying into Sukhumvit. When I landed at Sukhumvit Airport, one of the first things you see are all the posters and the electronic signs saying how serious the government is to crack down on sex trafficking and drug trafficking. So, question, what is the government doing to educate foreign nationals and expats from coming into Thailand and saying, no, you really can't do this, and we are being very stringent on watching you?
Yeah, it's a thing that how do you stop it? The only way you stop it, they haven't had that kind of stop it. So for example, when I always fly into Singapore, they tell you this is drug trafficking is punishable by execution. So there are people that traffic drugs into Singapore, they find it on them, and that week they are shot. If it's on you on camera, you are executed immediately. And so, there are some in the community that want them to come down hard and say they need to make that kind of announcement, and they have to read it and sign it. And if you are exploiting children and you do this, you will be executed. But it's a Buddhist country. It's not like that. I think they are trying their best. It's not perfect. There is corruption, of course, but the answer is no. They're not what you're saying. You're flying in, you see all the posters, but how are they tracking you. They certainly can find you. That's not a question, because the Interpol has the largest base in Singapore, and they can find you what hotel you tracked into, no problem.
Anywhere in Southeast Asia.
It's the
anywhere.
deterrence that's the problem. They need the deterrence. And that's why Singapore doesn't have a lot of drug trafficking, because the people of Singapore believe it's a poison. So therefore they agree. You bring in the poison at a certain amount on you, you are going to be executed. And there are those in the child trafficking for children or exploitation have a similar feeling. But, that's just not, they're not there on that level.
It's a punishable crime, but they're not
Yeah.
threatening anyone with
Yeah.
the death penalty.
They're either extradited out or they're handed over. If it's an American, it's the FBI. If it's another, they have British, it's over to the UK, Australian. They have them. You see them in the paper. You see them, they do stings. They have those a lot. They'll do stings. And a lot of that through the prevention is that if you see something, say something. And because culturally, they're not, Buddhist people are not confrontational that way. So the education is there, and it's going to take a long time. But no, they don't have that type of hard.
I have a question about Marie, how did you come about with those girls that you have with the nuns, and why the young orphans that you find, why can't they be part of what you're doing with the nuns?
Okay, let me explain. When we first moved here, our first Sunday in church, the very first Sunday that we went to church when we moved here, we went to the coffee shop across the street from the cathedral, and it's run by the nuns, and the girls rotate through there for a little stipend. It's part of their after school activity and on the weekends. So I met this nun who happened to be Sister Marie, and we talked about how I wanted to be a nun when I was a kid and didn't, but we talked about that. And she said, do you like teaching English? Because I told her I taught English in Singapore. And she said, I want to give you a proposal. So at that point, we started teaching the girls on Saturdays and never stopped. We are still doing it. Right now, the girls are at their villages. Now, the orphans down in below Bangkok, it's a place called Suan Kalok. That place, we support them with monthly donations, and we do some remote work with Sister Maria. But it's a bit to travel down there, especially for me with my neck. So mostly we deal with people with the students here. But after learning what we have learned about what happens to these orphans if they get adopted, I kind of do agree with the Thai government in not letting them be adopted. And they're well taken care of. When you see them, these girls and the boys, they have centers for boys as well, but they're not usually older boys, they're younger boys. There are plenty of orphanages there are Buddhist monk-controlled orphanages that do not get government support. There are government orphanages that do get government support, and then there's private orphanages that depend on donations from people, from philanthropists worldwide, and of course in Thailand. So the orphans are they're well cared for.
Yeah, the main thing with the 43 tribal girls at the cathedral is that the sisters want to give them integrate with the rich, the rich girls, as she said, and they just pick the clever ones and they try to give them the best education they can for their works. And that's how Marie just said, oh, there's, different age groups. Typically they're 10th grade, 11th and 12th grade. And out of the 6 years we've lived here, we know of one who
She became a nurse.
She's become a nurse. And so we do our best. And
out of the class of 12 to 15, we're lucky if we get one success.
Yeah.
So, but we're never going to give up. And what I mean by one success is to get one that's going to get a job that can really provide for the future. Lots of them simply go back to their villages and despite their education, despite even going to university, they will go back to help their parents with their bananas, their mangoes, their their tropical fruit, their coconut farms. I don't want to say that it's a waste, but you really hope that they would want to do something in another career, because those families have plenty of children to help on those farms.
Yeah.
Except when they get wiped out because they're getting kidnapped. As we do have villages that are completely devoid of any young people. The villages are vacant. There are no young people in the villages.
I mean, Lori, some of the girls that you saw, the pictures there that you have, and I sent you the PDF of this as well. You see those young girls. They have a sense of responsibility to their parents to go back and help their mothers and fathers, and so it's a filial piety. It's that Buddhist culture, that way that family is strong, and they'll make sure.
Except that these girls are all Christian. The girls we teach are Roman Catholic.
Yeah, they're Catholic.
But there are most of the hill tribes are Christian. They're not Buddhist. But the ones that are orphan Thais are Buddhist. Yeah. Even though they may be in a Roman Catholic orphanage, they are Buddhist. And
all of the NGOs, like the one at Grace, they don't even ask what. It doesn't even matter what their their religious. It's either it doesn't matter, and they don't work because most of them are Buddhist anyway. But yeah, it's easy to get drawn in, Lori. That's for sure.
These
girls
are not like girls in Western society. These are pure, innocent creatures. I mean, they are 16, 17, 18 years old that maybe have the social skills of an 11-year-old in America. They're not savvy. They're just precious children, even though they may be 18. I have 18-year-olds precious.
George and Marie. Hey, Curtis.
Hi.
Good to see you. Thank you very much. That was very nice.
Who's that?
Zay.
Oh, hi, Zay. Hi.
Hi. I think we've taken enough of your time. You want to finish with your meeting?
Well, we had a great connection with you in Thailand. Zoom was working very nice this morning. It's a very sobering topic. Appreciate just taking time with us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, this reminds me of I was a president of Interact, and I always went to a Rotary. They'd always bring me to a Rotary meeting when I was in high school down in Miami. So brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah. Well,
thank you so much.
You can see we're sweating here, and you're probably very cold where you are.
Okay, well, we know it's almost dinner time there, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Bye-bye. Sawadee ka.
Sawadee ka.